Dr. Castleberry here with more information about COM 2803 multimedia storytelling. And one of the things that might create distance, concern with students jumping into this course relatively early in a new major, maybe it's relatively early in your time with us at MacU, could be a sense of feeling like you don't have enough, not just information to work through courses, but maybe even equipment to produce some of the projects on deck. Well, don't worry. Let's rest assure the audience here that our primary focus with the media production major, especially when encountering it from the framework of online courses, is that we can work with limited tools, and we're not requiring exorbitant budgets to be invested in on your part. Now, however, any equipment you want to personally acquire, to use and utilize throughout the degree program and perhaps into your professional opportunities moving forward, that's great. That's gravy on top of things. But we tend to approach it keeping things limited so that they can fit the average student's working budget, which we have to assume is smaller. That being said, there's no expectation that you have enormous, expensive studio quality mics ready to go. All right, so we can jettison that. We don't have to worry about that. You could, in theory, purchase a very inexpensive microphone to work with as you're practicing the art of digital production, which often does include, guess what? It includes some of our basic fundamentals of studying communication, working on our oral communication skills, working on our delivery, but working on our message strategies, working on the scripts or information that we prepare in advance to then be able to talk about things. So you might look at something. These snowballs are relatively inexpensive, right? So we're talking, you're probably auto ordering things all the time off of, we don't want to name any big giants, but any number of large companies and distribution centers, right? Whether it's for home or leisure or hobby or what have you, that is a relatively inexpensive product. There are other more expensive products you can invest in. You could easily acquire some of these. So these just came in, some wireless mics. I think if you're getting stuck in those reels on social media, you're seeing more and more people do things like street interviews and that kind of content creation to move their social channels or build up content and a following and so on. And you could acquire and experiment with that. I'm going to be experimenting. In fact, I mentioned they just came in. I'm going to be working on figuring out some ways to incorporate that kind of content. But you don't need those kinds of expenditures to do well in this course and to make healthy progress as a mediated communicator. All right. But those are just some items, those are some examples of ways you could independently make choices to invest in the process. Also, you will see and hear about, and there will be videos to help introduce you to free software where we can develop content, specifically audio content in some contexts, but as you'll see, some of our social media campaigns are not audio exclusive. So in the audio exclusive things like the podcast segments, you'll work on the micro episodes. We will introduce Audacity, but there are other audio recording and editing softwares out there. That's a free one though, and that's why we're pushing it, because we're trying to keep those costs at a minimum for you all. But there are other social media and video elements that, again, these are mostly free applications that you can download, sign up for, activate, and they're going to go a long way. They're going to do majority of business. Guess what? Right now, this video, recording it on an iPhone. All right, and it's not product placement. That's just to say it's a smartphone, and I didn't attach any high dollar microphone to it. So while maybe my audio quality is either too high or too echoey, perhaps in some ways, it's not I'm helping to demonstrate that we don't have to have elite level equipment. You don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars invested into equipment you work through courses with. If you are plugged into that world, if you work in that world already and you have access to equipment and you're utilizing it, continue to do so, continue to build on it. But for our parts, we can have a very stripped down, straightforward approach to the equipment we use, and we can be highly successful with that type of equipment, and then just be ready to take the next steps if it's an area we're going to increase, we're going to look to go into, work adjacent to, and so on. So just a quick note on video equipment in our course in COM 2803 Multimedia Storytelling.